I'm in Stockholm.
Yeah, what's it like being at Comic-Con and meeting your fans?
It's lovely. I've never been to Sweden before. I've never been to Stockholm before. So that's a treat. You have a very beautiful country. What I've seen of it, and I'm surprised at how warm the weather is with this beautiful sunshine outside. It's much better than in London. So I'm going to come here for a holiday.
So I'm just going to ask you a few questions,
Yeah.
and then you guys can ask me some questions. So you just create a line here at the microphone. Yeah. So you've been working on Game of Thrones since 2011. How does it feel to wrap up the series?
It doesn't, so far it doesn't feel like we're wrapping up. It'll feel like we're wrapping up, I know, when we're halfway through shooting this next season. But I've been very lucky because I think it's probably, there might be a fan here would know, but there's only roughly maybe 12, 13 characters that have been in the pilot. And in every single season since Game of Thrones began. And when I started it, I had no idea what it would be like. I had no idea it was going to turn into the massive global hit that it became. In fact, the pilot didn't bode very well. It was sort of, HBO were not very pleased, I don't think, with it. They weren't particularly happy with the way it was shot. They didn't like a few aspects of it. Some actors were removed, some different actors were brought on, and we all slightly held our breath as to whether we would even make the first season. And really being on board, I've seen confidence course through the production, season by season, and just the ratings and the appreciation of the series, season by season, have just gone up and up and up until it's kind of become stratospheric and being this phenomenon which no one, as I say, when we began, expected. So it'll be very odd, as an actor you're entirely used to the finite nature of work. You get to know people very quickly because you often have to be their lovers or be their father or be their brother or as actors and the crew, and so you're often in a place away from home. It's a very kind of confined environment around around the set or the way you live, and you all are forced to and want to get to know each other very quickly. But it's very, in some ways, it's superficial, because after the 6 weeks of the film or the 5 weeks of the TV series, you move on and you do something completely different. So you're pre-programmed as an actor to get to know each other really quickly and then forget all about it, move on and get to know the next group of people. So it's very unusual to come back to a series each year, again and again and again. And because the program became so popular, all of us have shared that excitement and joy and disbelief that it's quite as big a hit as it became. And so each season you come back after year 2 and shit, that seemed to go quite well, didn't it? And then after year 2, year 3, you think, I don't quite believe this is insane. And then year 4, year 5, year 6, and so I can't undervalue just how unusual that is for actors. That's not what you're used to. And so that breeds a feeling of really strong connection and family between everyone involved. And I have lots of very, very good friends on the production now and all aspects of it. And listen, if you can look back at a career, I'm getting on a bit, I've been doing it for about 30 years. And if you can look back on your career and count on one hand those productions which have hit the holy grail of being commercially very successful and critically approved of, then you've had a fantastically good career. So I feel very lucky. It doesn't depend on any single actor who's on it. The production value is kind of more important than any single element within it. So yeah, I think it'll be a very strange sensation when it all goes away. And that reality I don't think will hit until, for me, I've filmed my last scene, or, you know, when I have no idea what this season, this last season is going to hold, but I'm sure there'll be certain scenes within it where we'll all be looking around and saying, hey guys, this is it, this is the end of this amazing, magnificent journey that we've all shared.
Wow, that was such a powerful speech. What's been your most memorable scene to shoot throughout all these seasons?
I don't know, it's really hard, you know, because the stories is so big and you have so many characters, people often don't meet each other, actors don't bump into each other, and it's been unusual. Game of Thrones is unique in any TV series that I've done, or film that I've done, where you have what they call two primary units. So you have two units that shoot the main stuff in tandem at the same time. So you'd have a unit in Northern Ireland while there's a unit filming in Croatia. You'd have a unit in Morocco while one was shooting in Spain. And that was just because there were so many characters and so many different stories that they could do that. As we've narrowed it down and we're entering this kind of end game, and you could feel it in the last season, we're all starting to occupy the same territory, we're all starting to be in the same storylines. And so they can't do that anymore. I think this last season will take much longer to shoot because they can only use one unit because we're all in the same sort of scenes. So each season, you know, because there are so many characters, if you know, all you want is really, you know, I don't know, there are 10 episodes, you get, you know, no character has been in every episode of this, you know. I don't know what the episode count is, but, you know, say we've done, I don't know the total of episodes, but I've had nice stuff to do in each season, and it varies, the kind of quality of it changes. So I have very fond memories of the very last scene in the first season, where the Khaleesi gave birth to the dragons and the pyre, the ashes of Khal Drogo's pyre death. And I had to walk through the detritus and then see her give birth to these dragons. And we shot it at a very, very windy location in Malta, I think. And we had to stop filming because it was so windy. And if you look at that scene now, it was the remnant of that wind. It was just beginning to die down, but it was still incredibly strong. And because of the fire, it made the filming a bit dangerous. But that felt like I don't know, I felt like Game of Thrones had really arrived in that scene, and I felt that Sir Jorah had arrived in the story. So that was, you know, I could name a few others. Another scene that I enjoyed doing enormously was in season 5, the gladiatorial sequence where Sir Jorah was put in front of Daenerys and had to fight for his life against 5-6 different fighters. And that took a long time to rehearse, and quite a long time to shoot. We shot it in this place called Osuna in Spain, and it was an old bull ring. And they used the CGI to build it up into this massive gladiatorial arena. And the extras were great. The Spanish extras were insane. And they loved the series, and they loved us filming there. And they were a big part of that sequence. But that was probably the most intense week's work of my time on Thrones.
So now you guys can ask some questions. You can only ask one question though.
Hi, my name is Daniel, big fan of the show, and would like to ask you about, you were talking about the end now with the last season coming up and everything. It's probably ages for us to wait because we were saying it will take some time to record everything. But how are you looking at, there are talks about spin-offs and things like that. Is that something that you know something about or that you would like to participate in? Yeah, so that's my question.
I've heard whispers of possibles. As far as I know, I think they're going to be prequels. So they're going to be prior to the Game of Thrones as we know it starting. I suspect there'll be previous generations. So I don't think Dan and David, the showrunners, will be be writing any future series, but hey, that's what I've heard, I don't know. And I think they'll be using different actors, so I suspect I won't be involved. It's been such a happy time, you know. It's one of the things I think you've got to be really clever as showrunners, is when something's lived its life, and when you've got to move on from it, and we all have to move on from it, I think. And you wanted to finish strong, and one of the reasons I thought the last season was so good was I felt things were accelerating forward. There was no sense that we were treading water, and I think the big wigs at HBO would like us to carry on for another 10 years. But the showrunner said 2 years ago, no, we have 13 hours of story left, and that's what we're going to do, and stuck to it. So, yeah, as I say, it'll be I'll feel very bereft when it's gone, but it will be a warm feeling of having been part of something special. But I don't expect to be involved in future things, and that's no loss for me.
Yeah. Thank you. We all want to see the show end on a high, so it would be good if it's very nice and...
Yeah, yeah.
Hello, I'm Marcus, very big fan of Game of Thrones, of course. But I was wondering, I was thinking on the way over here, what other series or movies have you been in? Because I couldn't figure anything out, and I could Google it, but it's more fun asking you this way.
Do you want me to go through my CV?
Not maybe all of it, but maybe something that you think we would enjoy, maybe?
Feels a bit vain. Well, I don't know, because you know, people associate you with what's been most visible, and for me, obviously, that's Game of Thrones, and I have no regrets about that. But you know, a lot of the stuff that I've felt most satiated creatively as an actor would be on stage. You know, I've been very lucky in the stage work, whether it's playing Henry V at the Royal Shakespeare Company or playing Hamlet when I was younger at the Bristol Vic, and then you know there are plays that I did in London doing the Crucible, the great Arthur Miller play that we did at the Royal Shakespeare Company, and went into London, and then the Blue Room with Nicole Kidman I did in London, and then New York. I could go on in terms of stage. I feel very fulfilled there. Film, it's an odd one. I think you know, often the work that you're most proud of film-wise is not necessarily the most visible as those independent films. I did a film called Small Engine Repairs where I played a country singer, which did very well in festivals, you know, but is not a huge big box office, multiplex sort of film. And I have a few of other films like that, Song for a Raggy Boy. They happen to both be Irish. Yeah, I mean, I'm so fucking old that I could go on at the things. I've been very lucky. I do love mixing the mediums. I love doing theatre. I love doing film, and I've always enjoyed that. Currently, I also do this Irish detective called Jack Taylor. And they're ones that I'm more completely involved in as a producer, and I develop the writing in it. And they're always a hard push. They're hard to get funded and get up and running, just because they don't conform to the norm, I suppose. So just now, I'm looking forward to doing more of those. So yeah, that sort of stuff.
Thank you. Hello,
Hey.
my name is Mårten, and I'm very honored to meet you.
You too.
And I have a question. All the actors, of course, have become very close friends during the years. But let's say if you wake up in the middle of the night and have completely forgot your schedule for the week.
I've completely
forgotten your schedule for the week. Who of your fellow actors would you call?
Certainly not any fucking actors. Don't go anywhere near that.
But if you have to choose one of them.
Hopeless. They're just out to lunch. They'll be taking drugs somewhere. So I turn to the AD department. I would have the AD, I always have, and I will on my phone, I have AD second, AD third on Game of Thrones, and that would be the number I'd hit and say, yeah, I've lost my mind, and where am I supposed to be? And they would have the answers. No actors, none whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Hello,
Hey.
my name is Robert. I have a question, or rather a speculation about season 8, of which we know nothing. So, if Sir Jorah doesn't make it to the end, and if it's up to you, who and how? Who would kill him and how would he die?
Who would kill me?
Yeah, if he doesn't make it to the end.
Well, I don't know. I was asked a couple of years ago, and the answer that sprung to my mind then was I would like to die having a major heart attack while making love to the Khaleesi. That would seem a good way to go. And I think there's a lot of dramatic potential in that, you know. I think you hope the audience would have the joy, oh fuck, he's he's got her! Oh no, he's died! But I don't know if the showrunners would go with that. So that's what I thought. But now I think, without being too earnest about it, I think that I think Sir Jorah is sort of beyond that. Having sort of lost her good will towards him because of the initial betrayal that was discovered. It's been a long journey getting back inside her. Her favour. So, and I think he's mentally moved on. I think he's just very happy to be trusted again. So now I think he should die if he dies by sort of taking a sword that was meant for her, just going in the firing line and being killed by whoever is trying to kill her. So sacrificing.
Trying to save her, maybe by a big dragon trying to save her. That would be a good.
That would be a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked to the screenwriters then.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hey.
On a similar note to the previous question, how would you want to see your character Jorah develop in the future, and how would you want him to what do you want to turn? How do you want it to turn out?
I don't have any major hopes. In all honesty, it's sort of you have to be careful of that anyway, particularly in the world of Game of Thrones, because they'll throw a curveball and they'll end up taking you places. So if you pin your hopes to one particular story, I mean the whole grayscale that hit me, that was, as far as I understand, that was not in the original novels. That was not for my character anyway. And so they're very clever at compacting storylines and taking elements. They obviously have to take these massive novels, which with a vast landscape, a vast array of characters, and concentrate them into a manageable, digestible TV series. They've done that really well, always teetering on the edge of how much people can cope with, how many stories can they follow. So I'm just really happy to be alive. I'm really happy to be in the last one. It feels like it's all building to a great war. I guess you have to understand the actors are the last people to find out what the fuck is going on. No one ever tells us. Wardrobe department, you'll go for a fitting for like something that you're wearing in a coffin. You say, well, so why am I wearing, what do you mean a coffin outfit? Oh shit, don't you know? No, I don't look at no. Or some prosthetic of a neck wound. Why am I getting a neck wound here? I mean, the grayscale, that's how that came about. Sorry, why am I going out to some place in Luton for an entire body fitting of grayscale? What's going on? And then you finally get the script and you realise that you're about to die at grayscale, so that's why they're doing that. So we meet for a read-through October the 9th. And I suspect that will be about the first time that us as actors find out what's going on. So they don't trust us. Something like that. I mean, there's an irony in it. Every year they say, "Oh, don't give it to the actors. They'll tell people, or and they somehow give away major things each year that's got absolutely nothing to do with the actors. Like they'll release 4 episodes for people to review and preview and write critics, and someone fucker will put them on the internet. You got 4 fucking episodes. You were trying to tell me not to mention, one element of my storyline, and you've given the entire episodes out. So this sort of thing happens every year. Synopsis that are released from the production department. Actors, we know nothing. We know nothing. People don't tell us. I would just be happy to be alive and in what I imagine is going to be a massive battle, and either survive or die nobly.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hey, Khaleesi.
How was it to shoot the scene when Sam removes the grayscales, and how long did it take to put on the prosthetics?
Yeah, it was a long time. There were different scenes and different things they shot when we shot scenes. So they never made me get into the full body grayscale unless I needed to. But that was 5 days of shooting that I needed to be with. There were two, one where he was doing the operation and one was post-op. Both those full body things took something like 8 hours. So I needed to get up at like 1 in the morning and be in the makeup chair at about 10 past 1. And then I was there for 8 hours, and about 6 hours we went and rehearsed it, and then I came back. And so, yeah, it was kind of trippy, I was pretty spaced by the time we got around to shooting it. And that somehow helped with the scene. The prosthetics, you're supported in Game of Thrones by all these incredible technicians, departments that make your life easier, but it doesn't matter how good or bad my acting was, if I didn't have the look and the prosthetic that made you think, oh my God, that is horrendously disgusting, then the scenes would not have been as powerful. So you're very dependent on these amazing experts that do their job, and the prosthetic department are right up there. They're brilliant. I mean, they developed this prosthetic which had, so they could lift, and this horrible oozy slime. There were certain sections they knew where they were going to film it. They knew the lenses they were going to use, how they were going to film it, and they were specific. So, I did really enjoy that. It was lovely working with John Bradley, and I just think as writers they're very clever in being so succinct to their scenes. They never overwrite things. Sometimes when you read a scene, you think, oh, is that it? And then you look again and you think, oh, yeah, but, it's so precisely written that you can tell everything you want to tell in the story in this particular, whatever the relationship is, in the 2-3 page scenes that you have. So I really enjoyed doing them, and again, supported by the great technicians. But I was very glad to survive it, and I was very glad not to have to do the 8-hour makeup, and from then on I just needed a slightly mangled hand, and they could do that very quickly. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you think is Jorah's relation to Jon? Being both Northerners, do you think he's okay with Jon being in love with Dany?
Did you say that? What was that?
Is Jorah okay with Jon being in love with Daenerys?
I think it's a complicated mix of feelings. As I say, there's something about Jorah where he's moved on from where he was for 3-4 seasons, where he was very, very in love with her. He's still in love with her, but he's not looking for a physical relationship anymore, I don't think. I mean, if she offered. But I think it's finally seeped through to him, but that's probably not possible. So I think if you've loved someone as long as you have, and this other young pretender comes in and they seem to have a bit of a thing going, then I think it's a bit challenging. And it's, I don't think he likes it, but I think he recognised that Jon Snow is a very, very good soul. And in the world of Game of Thrones, there are only a handful of really good souls. And so if there was anyone that was to have a relationship with her, then I guess Jon Snow is better than others. So it's a mixture of feelings. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, hi.
Hi.
My name is Natalie, and I'm very thankful to be able to ask you a question. I was going to ask, because there's been a lot of death on Game of Thrones, obviously, and I was going to ask of all the characters that have died, whether in the area where you've been, or just completely somewhere else, which character do you think died the most unfairly, and do you think you would change it if you were a writer?
No, I wouldn't change a thing. I guess Ned Stark would be the biggie, wouldn't he? That was a shock, and that sort of set the precedent. That made all viewers of Game of Thrones realise they could depend on nothing. Because it was so left field. That wasn't left field, but it was so unexpected. You see, you can't get rid of our leading man. Yes, we can. But I wouldn't change it, because I think that's part of its strength as a series, is that you're left at tenterhooks as a viewer, not knowing who's going to survive, who's not going to survive. And even more importantly, I think people who you think you can dismiss because they're just bad start doing things that you think, oh, sorry, I'm feeling different things about this person, vice versa. People who you think are just all good suddenly start doing things that disturb you and worry you. So there's a host of characters. Probably the majority of characters in Thrones have gone from a position of playing with the audience's affections in terms of, am I with them or am I against them? So I think that's good. I think that's, I wouldn't change that.
Very smart answer. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, I just want to thank you for bringing a character like Jorah Mormont. Great job.
Thank you.
For making him such a great character, a tragic character, a true underdog who has fought through disease, a broken heart, and exile, and fought his way back. Such a great job. My question is, what is one of your fondest memories in backstage on Game of Thrones set?
Oh, I have so many.
If you just name one.
I couldn't. I mean, my fondest memories. I'd be putting people in jail. No, it's you have a lovely time when you're all gathered and you're staying in a really lovely hotel in Spain or Morocco, or you work really hard days and you get back, and as I say, as actors, you share this. If I was honest, my fondest memories are around the actors and the writers, because I suppose you're in their company more. But you share this extraordinary experience together, and I'm blown away by Thrones. I mean, every time I go to any new set, see some massive build that they've done, or see how they're bringing the dragons to life, or see I mean, the scale of it is like mammoth. It's a huge, huge beast of a thing, which I still awes me. So you're involved in what feels work that takes your kind of breath away by the different elements involved, and you all gather back at the hotel at night, and you get pished, and have a lovely time, and you know, just have a laugh, and you know, it's wild. It's wild. There are certain places we go to where you know, you can't move for screaming fans. Kids, kids! They're on an open bar outside the hotel. Like, kids, kids! So you're sort of bathed in this sort of universal love, you know, enthusiasm, and that's a great thing. It's a fuel as actors. So just lots of times gathering together, drinking, singing songs. I'm a guitarist, I'm a singer. There's Dan, who writes, is a singer-songwriter, a very, very good guitarist. Gwen, lots of us. So those are memories, and endless times where we've all been, you know, merry and singing songs and having a laugh. You know. Sorry, I can't be specific.
No, you answered it perfectly. It's basically everything. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I think we are all so happy to have you here. I'm very happy to have you here. Okay, so my question is, what are your top 5 favorite food?
Why do I?
No, what are your top 5 favorite food?
Favorite food, top 5 favorite food.
Oh, top 5 favorite.
Yeah.
Asking the important questions there.
Roast chicken. Oysters. Cauliflower cheese. Sticky toffee pudding. And Heinz baked beans.
Hi. So my question is, what sort of drink is your favorite? Like beer, whiskey, gin. What sort of drink do you prefer?
Wine. I'm a wine drinker. I'm not, you know, unlike many Scotsmen. I don't really like spirits. I don't like whiskey, but I love wine, and I really love white wine, I suppose. I'd have to look deep back in my memory to try and remember a day that I didn't have a glass of wine. In fact, I'm slightly surprised I haven't got one here now. That's just an oversight, I think. But so yes, I love dry white wine. I love Sauvignon, Pinot Grigio, and I like the New World wines. I like you know, wines from South Africa, from Stellenbosch, New Zealand. Yeah.
Any sort of liquor you prefer? Liquor, you know, the flavored ones? Have you ever like one of those?
A flavored what?
Liquors.
That's not a drink, is it? Flavored licorice.
Licorice.
What? Liquors.
Yeah, liquor.
They tend to be sweet, don't they, liqueurs? I like dry for me. Yeah. Why? Are you trying to sell some? Is that what's in your bag?
Maybe.
Moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, pleasure
Hi.
to see you. I enjoyed your performance as Dr. Isaacs very much.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil.
Thank you.
Now, there's been too many Game of Thrones questions. Please tell us about Resident Evil. What was it like shooting with Paul Anderson? The fight scenes with Mila Jovovich? Please tell us.
It was great. You know, Paul Anderson, who wrote it. I did. Have you watched all the films?
The last one.
Okay, the last. So I don't know if you know, but my character sort of began his journey within it. I think it was in the second one, and then they gave me a good storyline in the third one, where you discovered that Dr. Isaacs was sort of the mastermind behind the whole thing. This is a true story. At the end of it, I enjoyed shooting. We shot that in Mexico, and I said to Paul Anderson, the director, who's really sweet, he said, "Oh, it's been lovely working with you. It's been lovely working with you, Paul. So it's a shame, it's a shame that you're so dead and that we can't bring you back." And I said, "Well, I've got a notion, because they're all science geniuses. I think he would have stored himself. I think he's frozen a version of himself." And he sort of laughed at the time, but I could see a little going on. And then, cut, 5 years later, 6 years, whatever it is, I get a call when I'm in, where was it? I was in Paris. I was back in South Africa, weirdly. And it was from Paul saying, "Yeah, hey, listen, you know that idea?" Yeah, actually, no, he didn't mention it. He just said, "Listen, I'm writing this, the final one. Would you be the main guy in it?" And I said, "Absolutely, Paul, that'd be great." And then I found out that he'd used that idea, which I reminded of him later. And I said, "That was my idea, you nicked it." And he said, "Yes, I know. Don't mention it to anyone." And so it was great being back and doing it. And they're just great fun to do. And it was a lovely role in the last film. I don't know if you've seen it, but I get to play two roles, a really deranged one and the real Dr. Isaacs, who's been sort of, as I say, stored. It comes all smooth, it's hard in a suit. They're just high velocity, action-packed films that are great to do, how they corral hundreds, thousands of extras all like that around the place is always fun to watch. Working with Mila, she's a sweetheart, she's really lovely. And we had lots of action stuff to do together, but Paul uses a technique with so many fast cuts that you really can break down the action. You don't have to massively rehearse the fights before you shoot them like you do on Thrones. Because you can do it sequence by sequence. There's so many cuts. You say, we're going to do that shot followed by that, this hit by that dot, and you can you break it down. So it takes the pressure off the work a little bit. But we shot that back in South Africa, and it was a very happy job. I love doing it. But now I'm truly dead. I don't think they could find any reason. That was supposed to be the last series in it. So.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Hi.
Hi.
Maria. And my question is, why do you think that the directors thought that Jorah would survive the grayscale?
Why would the directors of Jorah?
No.
Sorry.
Why did the directors decide?
Oh, I see. Why did they decide it was well? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think, it's always dramatically interesting to have people in jeopardy, and then, so as I say, you don't know who's going to die, who's going to survive. So I think they wanted to play that out. I think Jorah, because of the nature of the man, is quite popular with the fans as a good soul in the drama, in the way that Jon Snow is. And so I think they want to jeopardize it, threaten him. So you thought, there's no way he's going to be able to survive this. And all the precedents suggested it would be very difficult for him to survive and then recover him. I'm just very glad they did. I suppose if you took it to a logical conclusion, then I would have had to have it turns you insane, doesn't it? And then you become a stone man. And maybe they just thought, no, we can't do that to Jorah. That would just be, you can't have him being mad and frozen. So anyway, I would have taken my own life. I think I said that in the story anyway before that happened. But I'm glad they did. I'm glad they made me survive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that I was in Dragonstone before Daenerys Targaryen.
Were you? Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
I think he would be a very good James Bond. Would you like to play one?
I would have. I'm too old. I'm too old now. But there was a time. Who is it? Who was before Daniel? Yes, yes. Yeah. Anyway, there was a time when I think I was in the loop, you know, and all the British papers used to talk about it. I think it's partly because I've got I'm Scottish and people have Connery associations. I don't know how good I would have been as Bond. I don't know. Anyway, we'll never know. But yeah, thank you. It would have been a nice thing to do, but it never came. It's one of these things, as I say, where I was always talked about amongst a handful of actors, but I was never offered the role.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, I've been thinking about the question on the way here.
Yes.
So here's what I think. You've been through a lot on the show. You fought against Dothraki, you fought against gladiators, more Dothraki, Sons of the Harpy, you survived Grayscale now. How surprised are you that your character is still alive?
I'm very surprised, I'm very surprised. He's definitely a survivor, I guess that what was in Jorah's favour was he pinned his colours to the silver-haired princess. And the silver-haired princess was always going to be around in the endgame, she was always going to be there or thereabouts. So I think Jorah's really smart move was realising who she was very early in her life as a princess, as a queen. While all the people around her were dismissing her or thought she was too young or part of a Targaryen family and were known for insanity. It was just Jorah saw something really early on and aligned himself with that person. And I think that's really why he survived through all these various things that could have killed him. Because I think throughout a lot of the seasons, she survived because he survived. She survived because he was by her side. There's been a number of occasions when I've saved her life. So I guess that's why.
Thank you. It's been a privilege watching you throughout the years. I'm looking forward to. Let's hope you will make it through season 7.
Fingers crossed.
Season 8, of course.
Yeah. I just want to say, I know it's a bit noisy, that I'm just amazed at people's ability to speak English. It's like it's your first fucking language or something. It's insane. We are so crap in my country. We speak no other language. It is because you don't need to. It's no excuse. So I'm very impressed. I'm also surprised that I've not been killed while being in Sweden, because all the drama I see, you're full of psychopaths, lots of dysfunctional families, and death a lot. You're a fucked up society, and whether any drama I've seen out of any of the Scandinavian countries, to be honest, is you're all deranged. So I'm really very happy and surprised to be here and see that you're all lovely, and you all don't want to kill each other, and you speak such good English. Sorry, thank you.
And welcome to Sweden, of course.
Thank you.
My question is about Game of Thrones. If you had the opportunity to choose or let Jorah kill one character, who would you pick and how would you let him do it?
To kill one character?
Yeah.
The Mountain.
How?
Dagger in the eye.
Don't leave me. Hello, what's good?
Okay.
How are you doing?
Very good.
Okay, that's not my question.
No, sorry, that's it. Thank you. No, one. Go on. No, go on.
So my question is a little bit boring, but I was wondering what's the most important, how should I say this, moment in your life or person that has changed your values and views? And do you have any character or any role that you play that mirrors those views?
No, I'm kidding. That's not a boring question. It's my wife. Yeah, she's an amazing lady, and she's a great lover of life. I mean, I'm a lover of life, but she's she is the most altruistic person I know. I mean, she cares enormously, always for others, and is very careless of herself. And that's a lovely quality that you can be in love with for a lifetime. So she's been very influential. If I'm given a chance, I will scuttle off with a book, and I'm as I say, I play the guitar. I can be quite happy, isolated. She's forced me into being a more sociable person and a more kind-hearted person. So she's definitely borne a strong influence on me in my life. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, guys, we only have 10 minutes left, so maybe we can take 3 more questions.
I'll try and give shorter answers.
Hi, my question is, what's the biggest difference between Game of Thrones and Resident Evil?
Yeah. There's a bit of an overlap, to be honest. You know, there's other things that would be more different from it. They're both big, they're big productions. I think that the main difference is that Resident Evil is an action-led film, and it's going to last for an hour and a half or whatever it does. So there's a lot of coverage, but Game of Thrones is more of a character-led, much wider, sprawling. Sorry, not a very good answer, but there's a significant overlap. And lots of other films that are very contrasting. Game of Thrones is a massive production, so there's a much bigger contrast with little independent features than Game of Thrones. But yeah, cheers.
I work for HBO.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, thanks for being in our best show ever. And yeah, I was therefore going to ask you, what are your other favorite TV shows? And if you could choose another show to be in, not Game of Thrones or Downton Abbey or Strike Back or something you've been in, which show would you pick?
Currently, I'd love to do something like The Bridge. I do love Scandi drama. Other than that, I would love to have been in. I'll just tell you my favourite TV shows. I'd love to have done Breaking Bad. It's just because it's great characters. Great characters. Things can, as an actor, that's what you look for. That's why it's lovely to do, because Thrones has got lots of really good characters and fantastic storylines and stuff. Mad Men is a brilliant drama. Sopranos, The Wire. Any of those.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hi, my name is Bella. Which actor or actress is the nicest offset?
I mean, without being sort of bland and PC, there's no bad actors on it. Seriously. If there are, they got killed off. They're vicious with that. If you start saying to them, I just think that my storyline is like, you should write me, you're dead. Or you start misbehaving, they'll just kill you. So don't do it. So they're really nice bunch. We had blessed with a fantastic casting director who knew British actors particularly well, and they got very good actors. We have a mixture of fantastic new young ones and old The one I've hung out most is Amelia, and I adore her. She's a beautiful, talented girl, and I've seen her grow and grow. And she's, yeah, you know, her life is transformed, as is Kit's, Alfie, you know, Sophia, they're all the young ones, Mossy, they're all, you may see they've been, you know, they have completely different careers ahead of them now, and it's, you know, it's hard, young actor. Really, really hard to cope with it, but they've got really good guidance and they're very grounded, so they're all lovely. Emilia's probably my best mate because we've hung out.
Next time you see her, tell her hi from me.
What's your name?
Stella.
Ella.
Stella.
Hi from Stella, from
Thank
Stockholm.
you.
Mr. Glen?
Hi.
My name is Jacob. I have one question. I'm a big fan of both the TV show as well as the book series. So the author, George Martin, has said that the ending is going to be bittersweet. I want your interpretation of that. What do you think is going to happen? What is the world going to look like?
George said it was going to be bittersweet.
Yes.
Yeah. That's nice. It's nice. It's very tempting, isn't it? That just keeps all possibilities open. If you're asking me how it's going to land or how it's going to complete, I really don't know. I mean, I think it's been unusual for a writer as successful as George R.R. Martin to have a TV series that was as successful as this is and caught up with them and gone beyond them. So I do know that David and Dan, who write the show, met with George about 3 years ago when we were due to overtake his stories. And George was really, really clear about where he, you know, his outlines of where all the characters were going to end, what was going to be the final image. And I know they listened, and they've taken some of that on, and they're doing their own thing. As someone who knows the books, you'll know the changes that they've made to make it a compelling TV series. Your point comes where you cannot be entirely faithful to the novel. It just wouldn't work, and I think they've boxed very clever in terms of that, what to include, what not to include, and what to change. So, yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I've been thinking of endings. I think I mentioned some of my favourite dramas, and the way Sopranos concluded, and way the things. This, I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not writing it. I have no idea how it will complete, but it's definitely not going to be your favourite character sat on the Iron Throne and the world is at peace. That I guarantee.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Mr. Glen. Hi, my name's Adam. I'm a massive fan of the show and of your character and you as an actor. And I was just wondering, going back to maybe a bit of a previous question, which character, because I assume you watched the show, so I was just wondering, what character were you most saddened to see go on the show? Was it Ned Stark, the first unexpected one, or was it someone else?
I do watch the show, because, and I absolutely don't watch a lot of what I do, and I watch it because it keeps me in touch with it, as it's such a big beast of a thing. I read all the scripts and then I watch the whole thing, because it keeps you able to see people and say, I thought that was brilliant, or I love that aspect of it, or so, and keeps you engaged in it, and you're coming back to it, so it would feel rude not to. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's Ned Stark. Yeah, it would be. That's the one who I suppose I would have. You would have wanted to stay alive, but it all starts to melt. Who would you like not to have died?
I would have liked Oberyn not to have died.
Oh, yes.
It seemed so stupid of him to do and die the way he did. So it's just
I hear you. Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Tindra, so if my English sucks, it's probably because I'm 14 years old. I watched the series under 2 weeks, so I have 1 episode left. But my question is, how was it to work with Peter Dinklage? Because I think if it was real wine on the set, wasn't he like drunk all the time?
Yeah. No, I'll give away a secret. It's not real wine. so he wasn't drunk. He's lovely, Peter. Yeah, he's the real deal. He's yeah. There's none of the actors, none of the actors who play those those big sort of 5 roles have any airs or graces. Peter certainly doesn't. And it was lovely, much as I missed the Khaleesi. It was season 5, I think, where I went on the long journey with Tyrion across country, kidnapped him to try and get back into the favour of Daenerys. And we had a lovely time, we had a laugh. He's very, very witty. He's a very funny man that he shares with Tyrion. He's very quick. He's got a lovely family. And yeah, he's just lovely to hang out with. He's a bit like me. He doesn't he's not madly rock and roll in the evening. He does his own thing. But yeah, it was fun.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What do you like most, the fictional or the real Westeros?
Can you give like a super short answer?
Yeah, what was the question?
What do you prefer, the fictional or the real Westeros?
I didn't hear that. Fictional
Sorry,
or the...
fictional or real?
Fictional Westeros or the real Westeros?
Oh.
Fictional. That's great.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I just have to say you have a lively voice, Glenn. I would say that Sean Bean is famous to always die. So were you surprised, all the actors, when Ned Stark died in the first season?
Yeah, I was very surprised. As I say, I think it set the precedent for the unpredictability of Thrones. So you could never bank on anyone surviving. And that's the world, it feels plausible. It's one of the reasons why I think Thrones is as successful as it is, that although it's a very weird world in which things that are beyond our understanding can happen, nonetheless it's rooted in reality where, we've had Oxford historians come out and support the kind of politics behind Thrones. So it's rooted in a real reality, and one of those realities at that time was that people died, the death rate was high, they were all fighters, so yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.